U.S. city of Minneapolis declares curfew after police kills black man. England buzzing after first night of ease of COVID lockdown. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the World News. I am Daisy Leo Asikidi. Edo State male football team yesterday won gold medal in the ongoing National Sports Festival, defeating Team Lagos 3-2 at the Uniben Sports Complex Ugboa. Kingsley Uchegbu has details.
Lagos State football team scored early goals, but Edo State football team came from behind to force Lagos to a 2-2 draw before first half interval. The keenly contested final game saw both sides missing many goal-scoring opportunities before captain of Team Edo converted a penalty kick to ensure 3-2 victory. Edo State Deputy Governor, who later captained the team, coordinated his side to hold on to the lead until the final whistle.
For me, it's Lagos and Edo that have won because this is a unity game. And you can see that the game, both Lagos and Edo, they were very, very tactical and they were good. From 2 goals down, for my boys to come and equalize and win, I would say the god of football and the luck is on our side.
The team captain, Deputy Governor of Edo State, was one of the major players in this tournament. He was here to motivate the players. I'm very happy, being a player myself, I'm happy that Edo won gold in the football match.
I'm happy. It's not easy. National Sports Festival within 36 states. Lagos came second in football. I'm happy of my boys. I'm proud of them.
I'm so happy for the states that we won the festival. We are the host and we won it.
I feel so great. I feel so big. And I leave everything in the hand of God. God has not failed me.
High point was the presentation of medals to the winning teams. The official football of the competition was also presented to the winning teams. In the female football event, Edo State also won gold medal after recording 1-0 victory over Lagos State. Kingsley Uchegbu reporting.
Meanwhile, the rivalry between the host of the 20th National Sports Festival, Edo State, and defending champions of the Games, Delta State, continued on Sunday night in gymnastics. Emerson Edosa reports that while Edo State dominated gymnastic events, Delta State raked in gold medal in squash event.
In gymnastic event at the ongoing 20th edition of the National Sport Festival, Edo State has won 14 gold medals in the 14th event done so far out of the 21 overall. Delta State dominated in squash games, winning 5 gold medals from the 7 categories. Athletes from Delta State have expressed optimism in retaining the title they won in Abuja 2018, while their Edo State counterpart are also hopeful of winning the 20th National Sport Festival.
I won a gold medal in the Stableford event in the professional category, which was a good one for me. And I believe Edo will dominate the golf event, and that will turn around the table in the overall medals table. I have that confidence that Edo will win the overall National Sports Festival, host and win.
In terms of Delta State, being the winner of National Sports Festival for some time now, I believe that here they are going to learn new things because we are going to dethrone them, not just because we are those, but we are very good.
I even give glory to Almighty Allah that my God is still among the table.
This is one of the strongest festivals we have ever attended, knowing that Edo and Delta, we are brothers, and according to them, they say we are younger brothers, but the younger ones is taking it over now, and to God be the glory that we met Edo in 3 finals, and we collected the whole 3. Victory is of the Lord.
We should have all the states that are coming in mind like they are our opponents, so we should get prepared for every state. So in which I believe, and with the results, I know that Team Delta were prepared well for every state.
The Delta State contingent attributes the success they have achieved so far to the motivation derived from their supporters club, which have been visible at the different venues of the event, while Bayelsa State, which has been the surprise team in this year's sport festival so far, are also enthusiastic of winning more medals.
I remember the governor giving us a charge that we should come to this festival and meet or exceed his record as commissioner. And you can see that the athletes have come in here and given everything they've had. Virtually every sport, we've seen a bump in our performances.
Now we the ginger them all corner, all where, everywhere.
It's a way of life to us. Anywhere we are going to go to our supporters club.
As at the time of this report, both Edo and Delta State are in strong contention for medals in the track and field event, with Edo winning gold medals in 200 meters male and long jump male event for the deaf. Both teams did well in the 4x100 meters relay heat event. Emerson Edosa reporting.
Members of the National Association of Resident Doctors have warned that should the government fail to honor its agreement in the next 4 weeks, they would be forced to declare another indefinite nationwide industrial action. President of the association, Dr. Uyilawa Okwayasuyi, gave the warning yesterday. Ikmomusa Ogiagbe has details.
Members of the National Association of Resident Doctors embarked on strike on April 1, but was suspended after 10 days following a meeting with the government on Saturday. Giving an update on the progress made so far since the strike was suspended, President of the association, Dr. Uyilawa Okwayasuyi, acknowledged that they have gained something significant, but it may not be enough to end the strike. Dr. Okwayasuyi said a meeting has been fixed in respect of the 5,000 hazard allowance and with other health workers. He confirmed that about 239 house officers have been paid as of Monday morning, but there were some irregularities with the payment.
For next 4 weeks, we hopefully wish that the government will honor their bargain. But however, the National Executive Council have placed a meeting for the 4th week to review the state and the extent in which government have gone to honor the MOA. So it's at that stage we are going to review what we are given and know whether the government have done well or not.
Ikmomusa Ogiagbe reporting.
At the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Ministry of Police Affairs and Ministry of Finance furnish it with full documentation on arms procurement for the Nigerian Police Force. ITV Abuja National Assembly correspondent Charity Tanko has details.
The inauguration is coming at the wake of an indefinite strike by the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASU. The union had accused the federal government of failing to meet its demands. Represented by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Sonny Echonu, Minister for Education, Adamu says it has become imperative for government to constitute the panels now.
To review the performance of the institutions assigned in the areas of governance, academic standards, quality assurance, management of finances, and the relationship between the management on the one hand and the staff and students on the other, the assessment of the condition of physical infrastructure, as well as instructional facilities.
Reading out the names of the 46 institutions, the minister advised members of the panel that all hands must be on deck to move Nigerian tertiary institution forward.
Let me express our utmost appreciation to every one of you for not only honoring this invitation, but indeed accepting to serve at this very difficult time.
Charge their duties responsibly on whether the principal officers have performed according to the requirements of their employment and appointments, and on whether the institutions have continued to serve their communities and the country in general.
Some of the newly elected members spoke with ITV News.
I am very much aware that the academic staff of the polytechnics are currently on strike. My plea is for them to understand that the inauguration of the visitor panels is one of the positive steps by government to address many of the issues which they are agitating for.
Will avail not only the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, but all other stakeholders in technical and vocational education in our federal polytechnics the opportunity to really come and share their concerns and their grievances.
Meanwhile, in a press release by the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnic, the union expressed dissatisfaction in the appointment of some rectors by the federal government. Lakari Gabriel, ITV News, Abuja.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan expresses worry over the power of judiciary to select leaders after the conduct of elections. Dr. Jonathan made this known yesterday when he visited TOS TV Network studio in Abuja. ITV Abuja correspondent Joseph Kadri reports that the founder of the TOS TV Network, Chief Osasu Igbenedion, expressed readiness to support youths vying for elective positions.
Arrival of former President Goodluck Jonathan to TOS TV Network, received by the founder, Chief Osasu Igbenedion, and shown round to the digital studio. He then parleyed with youths and women of the TOS Foundation, Youth and Women for Good Governance Initiative, as well as with journalists. In his response to some of the questions raised, the former president says the law empowering judiciary to select leaders after the people's mandate needs to be addressed.
In Nigeria today, that the judiciary select political leaders is not the best. The ballot paper should be the basis of selecting political leaders. If it is the judiciary that will select, it is not. We are not yet there. But I'm not saying the judiciary are not doing well, but I mean our laws should suppress the idea of the judiciary returning candidates. If a candidate that won the election is fined one thing, so that election should be annulled and a fresh election conducted. The ballot paper must decide who holds any office from councillorship to the presidency.
Former President Jonathan commends the founder, TOS TV Network, Chief Osasu Igbenedion, for her initiative to advance the aspirations of women and youths in politics. He encourages the youths to seek for elective positions.
Initiative and the creative ability to set up the structure and to get the resources, to get this kind of equipment. If from your pocket alone, we thank God, if there are some people who assisted you either at the family level or the levels of friends, let me use this opportunity to commend them. And so we want the young people who get into office to make a difference so that Nigerians will believe that, yes, these are digital generation and they are doing better than the analog. For you to play politics, definitely you spend some money because you need logistics. I'm not talking about money to bribe anybody, but basically for you to campaign, for example.
Founder, TOS Foundation, expresses gratitude to the former president's visit. She assures of her continuous support to women and youth seeking for elective positions.
The former president was very proud and pleased with the work that we're doing so far, and he decided to pay us a courtesy visit, which we're very appreciative of. Aside the courtesy visit, I also thought it wise to gather a few of my colleagues in the media and the development space to ensure that we have an intergenerational collaboration and intergenerational exchange of ideas where we can get more youths, more women, more girls into political office and governance in general, because we all know that women make up 50% of the world's population.
Some members of the TOS Foundation are optimistic that women and youth will be involved in governance in no distant time.
So I believe that this conversation that has been brought together by TOS TV has now inspired and would inspire a new generation of thinking to say that enough is enough.
Not Too Young to Run Act is something that gives
hope. It's not something that says the work is done. So for as long as there are young people involved in politics, for as long as we understand the need to correct the underrepresentation of both young people and women, it is a tool that will allow us to be able to vie for elective office.
The whole essence of democracy is for governance to work for the common good of all.
High point of the former President Jonathan's visit is a group photograph with members of the TOS Foundation. Joseph Kadri, ITV News, Abuja.
The federal government has pleaded with striking members of the Judicial Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSN, to end their nationwide industrial action, which has paralyzed activities at the nation's courts for the past 1 week. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, made the appeal in his office at a conciliation meeting between the federal government and the leadership of JUSN. Ngige reminded the judiciary workers that, like doctors and nurses, they are on essential duties and should not go on strike. According to Ngige, the country cannot make progress economically and socially when the laws of the country are not enforced, and appealed to them to return to work. Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna says his administration is sacking public servants in the state due to dwindling financial resources and higher wage bills, which government cannot sustain. Governor El-Rufai insisted that the government was not elected just to pay salaries of public servants alone, but to also develop the state by building schools, hospitals, upgrading infrastructure, and making the state more secure and attractive to the private sector for jobs and investments. He pointed out that with what it has been receiving from the Federal Allocation Committee since the middle of 2020, like most other sub-nationals, the state can barely pay salaries and overheads, adding that in the last 6 months, personnel costs have accounted for between 84% and 96% of federal allocation received by the Kaduna State Government. The Kaduna State Government had, on April 6, disengaged 4,000 local government workers. You're watching the world news on independent television. Still to come, George Floyd's younger sibling testifies in court. You can watch ITV News on Roku TV in UK, America, Africa, and other parts of Europe. Also on Smart TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Android TV. Viewers on TSTV channel 364, Star Times channel 130, GoTV channel 107. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at ITV Radio NG. On Instagram at ITVNG. Watch our programs from our website and get information about us on www.itvradionnigeria.com. You can also download the ITV app from a mobile app store. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. George Floyd's younger sibling has testified in court on the killing of his brother and said he missed his brother. Deborah Ogbefun reports that the prosecutors are prepared to rest their case against the ex-officer accused of murdering him.
Testifying in court, late George Floyd's younger sibling remembered his brother as a big mama's boy and a leader to them in the house, as the court was shown old photos from their childhood. In tears, the younger brother recounted how his brother had cried at their mother's funeral and did not want to leave the casket because he loved her so dearly.
And my brother was killed May 25th, and my mom died on May 30th. It's like a bittersweet month because I was supposed to be happy when their mom comes.
Two expert witnesses also testified on behalf of the prosecution about their independent review of the Floyd's arrest. A Chicago-based cardiologist, Dr. Jonah Rich, told the court that in his professional opinion, George Floyd did not die of heart attack or drug overdose. He noted that his review of Mr. Floyd's medical records since 2018 indicated problems with hypertension, high blood pressure, and struggles with drug addiction, but turned up no evidence of a previous, or the cardiologists were maintaining in court that the deceased had an exceptional strong heart, said the footage made it clear that Mr. Floyd died gradually and slowly because he was restrained in a life-threatening manner and then lay on the ground pulseless without any CPR for too long. Use of force experts, says Soktom, a law school professor with prior law enforcement training, said the force used by the officer who arrested George Floyd and the other officers apprehending the deceased was unreasonable, excessive, and contrary to general accepted police practice. The officer, Mr. Derrick, is on trial after he kneeled on Mr. Floyd's neck during his arrest in May 2020. He has denied the charges. Deborah Ubefun reporting.
Authorities in and around Minneapolis have announced a curfew on Monday night after a police officer shot dead a young black man, escalating tensions in the U.S. city of Minneapolis. Deborah Ubefun has details.
At a press conference, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey declared a state of emergency in the city on Monday from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. this morning following protests over the killing of a black man in the city. The curfew will also be enforced in the twin city of St. Paul and surrounding communities, including the county, where the 20-year-old man was killed on Sunday when a police officer mistakenly used a gun instead of a taser during a confrontation. Minneapolis, the largest city in the U.S. states of Minnesota, is already on the edge because it is in the midst of the murder trial of George Floyd, an African-American who died last May after a white police officer placed his knee on his neck for more than 9 minutes. The killing sparked a series of protests across the nation, some of them violent, and led to an ongoing racial protest in America. Earlier in the day, authorities in Brooklyn Center, where Wright was killed, released police body camera footage that shows an officer shot Wright after he tried to escape during a traffic stop. The Brooklyn Center police chief said the officer missed up her firearm with a taser she had been meaning to use. Reacting, President Joe Biden called for an end to systematic racism in the country. On Monday, while calling the shooting of Wright tragic, President Joe Biden warned against violent protest and said people should wait for a full investigation to be conducted.
No justification for violence. Peaceful protest, understandable. And the fact is that, we do know that the anger, pain, and trauma that exists in the black community in that environment is real. It's serious and it's consequential. But it will not justify violence and or looting.
Deborah Ubefun reporting.
Just before we continue with other international stories, report just reaching us says the Edo State Deputy Governor and Chairman of the local organizing committee of the National Sports Festival tagged Edo 2020, Philip Shaibu, says the federal government is yet to release funds for the festival. Philip Shaibu said, contrary to claims that the federal government was going to fund the festival after several postponements, the government at the center is yet to redeem the promise. He said the federal government should quickly release funds for the festival as the state is struggling to continue with the games. And back to foreign stories. Many residents in England are excited after first night out in months as the country reopened outdoor hospitality. In London, Seoul, locals welcomed seeing the West End buzzing again with life. Deborah Ubefun has details.
The streets of London have been packed full of people as outdoor drinking and dining resumed on Monday for the first time since England's lockdown began on January 5th. Shops, hairdressers, gym, Zooms were among the other businesses reopening in England, while Northern Ireland's stay-at-home order was lifted and some rules were eased in Scotland and Wales. Despite flurries of snow in parts of the country, people flocked to pub and restaurants to celebrate the return of some of their freedoms.
Feels like we're out of prison. I feel good.
I've obviously just been trapped inside doing the same thing, like work, go to sleep, work, go to sleep. It was just nice to be like out.
Westminster Council said it was aware of isolated incidents of crowding, but said it had been working with businesses to help them operate safely, including having COVID-19 marshals offering support with social distancing. A pediatrician on the Joint Committee for Vaccination and Immunization, Professor Adam Fain, said people should continue to practice social distancing despite the success of the vaccine program. Deborah Ugbefun reporting.
We're just one day to the conclusion of the 20th National Sports Festival. Edo State Deputy Governor Comrade Philip Shaibu, who is also the chairman local organizing committee, says the federal government is yet to redeem its financial pledge for the sports festival. He said, contrarily to insinuations from some quarters that the federal government support is optional, the federal promised to provide funds for the sports festival after it was postponed due to COVID-19.
Before it was postponed, we never got assistance from them, but we never complained because that is optional. But when the games were postponed, one of the conditions that they gave that we should accept the postponement was that we should not worry that when it's rescheduled, they will fund it. They didn't say they will assist. They said they will fund because there's a cost to postponement because the state have already paid almost all its vendors. It was the eve of the opening that is postponed, and they said they would take charge in terms of funding. They were going to fund the new dates. Now they are saying it's optional. It's not optional.
Further details will be brought to you later. French lawmakers have moved to ban domestic flights where train alternatives exist in a bid to reduce carbon emissions. Over the weekend, lawmakers voted in favor of a bill to end routes where the same journey could be made by train in under 2.5 hours. Deborah Ogbefun has details.
The vote by the lawmakers to ban domestic flights where train alternatives exist in a bid to reduce carbon emissions came days after the French government doubled its stake in Airline France. The planned measures will face a further vote in the Senate before becoming law.
I think this method is not the right one. The environmental choice must take precedence. But let's not abandon the social and economic choices around industry and around airports. The two are complementary.
The French consumer group, however, called on the lawmakers to retain the 4-hour limit. It said on the average the plane emits 77 times more than CO2 per passenger than the train, even though the train is cheaper and the time lost is limited to 40 minutes. France Citizens Convention on Climate, which was created by President Emmanuel Macron in 2019 and included 150 members of the public, had proposed scrapping plane journeys where train journeys of under 4 hours exist. Airlines around the world have been severely hit by the coronavirus pandemic, with website Flight Radar 24 reporting that the number of flights last year were cut down almost 42% from 2019. Deborah Ubefun reporting.
Japan has approved a plan to release more than 1 million tons of contaminated water from the destroyed Fukushima nuclear plant into the sea. The water will be treated and diluted so radiation levels are below those set for drinking water. The final approval comes after years of debate and is expected to take decades to complete. But the local fishing industry has strongly opposed to the move. However, Tokyo says work to release water used to cool nuclear fuel will begin in about 2 years. Reactor building at the Fukushima power plant were damaged by hydrogen explosions caused by an earthquake and tsunami in 2011. The tsunami knocked out cooling system to the reactors, 3 of which melted down. Away from Japan, Democratic Republic of Congo's Prime Minister has announced a new cabinet in a move that consolidates President Felix Tshisekedi's control in government. The new government of the Sacred Union Coalition has 57 members, including 14 women, with only 10 from the previous cabinet being reappointed. The Sacred Union is President Tshisekedi's new coalition, announced on 6 December after breaking his collaboration with former President Joseph Kabila. The former President Kabila still retained considerable power even after stepping down following the 2018 elections, as his coalition has won the majority of parliamentary seats in what was widely seen as a flawed election. The government in Botswana has stopped vaccination in some regions, saying doses allocated to them have been depleted. According to the data from the Botswana Health Ministry, the country has so far vaccinated 17,808 people in those regions, and they've advised to wait for the next shipment, which is being expected in weeks. Meanwhile, the Botswanan president, Mogwetsi Masisi, has moved a night curfew to start at 10 p.m. local time from the earlier start date of 8 p.m. local time. The breakdown of figures of the country's Ministry of Health shows that Botswana has 40,998 coronavirus cases, including 663 deaths. The International Organization for Migration has said about 34 people have drowned after a boat capsized off the coast of Djibouti. According to the IOM, the boat operated by people smugglers were carrying about 60 migrants escaping conflict in Yemen and who were on their way to Djibouti. The organization has expressed concern over the tens of thousands of young African migrants making the dangerous journey from the Horn of Africa to the Gulf states in search of work. Last month, at least 20 migrants died after smugglers pushed 80 of them from a boat off the coast of Djibouti. The Chadian army has said rebels attacked an area near the northern border on Sunday, the day of the country's presidential election. The army said on Monday that steps had been taken to neutralize the incursions at the north of the capital, Djamena. A political military group, the Front for Change and Concord in Chad, founded by dissident army officers in 2016, claimed responsibility for the attack. It reported that the group, which blamed President Idris Deby for the repression over the elections, had disputed the government's portrayal of the attack. President Deby is expected to extend his 30-year rule in the election, whose results have not yet been announced. Turning to sports, Delta State has continued to maintain the #1 position on the medals table on the ongoing National Sports Festival Odin in Edo State. From the latest standing, Delta State's gold medals have increased to 103, 82 silvers and 62 bronze medals, making a total of 257 medals. Edo State's contingent is still keeping pace with the defending champions, as all states have garnered 88 gold, 80 silver and 73 bronze, totaling 241 medals. Bayelsa closely follows with 41 gold, 40 silvers and 43 bronze medals, standing at a total of 124 medals. Occupying the 4th position is Rivers State, who have a total of 24 gold, 24 silvers and 39 bronze medals, summing up to 87 medals. With a total of 81 medals broken into 19 gold, 23 silvers and 39 bronze, Lagos State is at 5th position on the medals table. The festival continues. And now to end the world news, here are our top stories. George Floyd's younger sibling has testified in court on the killing of his brother and said he misses his brother. Authorities in and around Minneapolis have announced a curfew on Monday night after a police officer shot dead a young black man, escalating tensions in the U.S. city of Minneapolis. Plus, many residents in England are excited after first night out in months as the country reopened outdoor hospitality. In London, Soho locals welcomed seeing the West End buzzing again with life. On behalf of the news producer Deborah Ogbefun and the entire production team, I am Daisy Leo Asikidi. Thanks for watching and good afternoon.
Independent television news, truly independent.
Do you need a place to eat good food as